All right, America, get excited, because I'm going to show you a chart that I have come to believe may be the single most important graphic to understand just why we have the kind of economy that we have. The red line on this chart represents the number of major work stoppages due to strikes and lockouts involving 1,000 or more workers from 1947 to 2010. There was a time in this country where we would have nearly 500 work stoppages a year. In 2010, we had 11. The strike is the single most powerful tool that labor has to ensure an equitable distribution of profit between shareholders and workers. For a whole host of reasons, which we will discuss in a moment, that tool has essentially died. Case in point, this month we had a rare instance of a large-scale strike action. On August 7th, 45,000 Verizon workers went on strike because management refused to bargain on contentious issues, opting instead to push their concession proposals. Things like freezing pensions, ending all job security provisions, and greatly increasing employee contributions to health coverage. Finally, Verizon agreed to bargain on some of the issues, and after only 15 days, workers agreed to return to work. To be clear, the workers did not win a contract. That remains pending. They ended their strike simply because Verizon agreed to negotiate on the issues workers cared about. And clearly the strike had some negative impacts on the company. 1 week ago, the New York Times ran the headline, "Customers Feel Some Ripples from the Verizon Strike." The story provided anecdotes like this. Joey Kreger, a recent college graduate moving from Illinois to Morristown, New Jersey, said he was stunned when he ordered Verizon's Fios television and internet service for his new apartment, and the company wrote back that it could install the service on December 30th, more than 4 months from now. Article continued, competitors like Time Warner Cable and Cablevision have mobilized to take advantage of Verizon's problems. Though Verizon workers demonstrated their economic value to management, it's hard to view this case as a victory for labor, considering they're heading back from the strike without a contract. Joining me now, the author of a fascinating new book, Reviving the Strike, How Working People Can Regain Power and Transform America, union negotiator and attorney Joe Burns. Joe, thanks for coming on tonight.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for having me on.
First of all, I guess I want to get your reaction to Verizon ending the strike and going back to the negotiating table. What did you make of that?
Well, what I made of it was that clearly the union was having an impact upon the company. They were able to get back to work with their contract in place, with their heads held high. Workers gathered around the country at 500 locations and walked back into work on Tuesday, marched back into work. And the reason they were doing that is they were able to impact the bottom line of the company. 45,000 workers going out at once. It's one of the biggest strikes in years. And they were doing so on a broad-based message of keeping good jobs in our community and maintaining a standard of living and defending collective bargaining.
What do you think when you look at that graph, which is really a staggering graph, and you sort of trace out in the book a number of things that have led to that graph to show the numbers it does? What do you think accounts for the decline in strikes since the end of World War II?
I think what the key factor is that effective strike tactics have been outlawed in the United States. For 75 years, employers have used their influence in Congress and the court system to undermine the right to strike. And the result is one of the worst laws related to organizing and bargaining in the entire world. So what workers face when they go out on strike is that employers have a whole host of tools they can use against workers, including retaliating against workers by taking away their jobs and giving them to permanent replacement workers. On the other hand, effective strike tactics such as using solidarity, which was traditionally unions would strike entire industries at once, over the years, that's been outlawed. So really, unions are fighting with our hands behind our backs, and the entire, all workers in the country are feeling the results of that.
How important do you think the strike is to changing the sort of way in which the distribution of gains in the economy have been flowing, particularly for the last 30 years, the last 10 years, and exacerbated since the crisis?
Oh, I think it's the key question facing us here in this country. When we had a powerful strike in the 1930s through the 1970s, we were able to transform the wage structures of entire industries. We were able to take jobs like meat packing and make that a desirable job where people could afford a house or send their kids to college. What's happened in the last 30 years without an effective strike is that we've had this gross transfer of wealth to the corporate America.
Labor attorney Joe Burns, author of a new book on the strike. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, Chris.
Coming up, trying to stop a pipeline before it's too late. Tomorrow may be too late. Someone who just spent 2 nights in jail protesting the pipeline joins me next.